In case you missed out on the major local and international news updates within the week, worry no more because we've got you covered. Join us on First Next News for a complete highlight of important stories from Nigeria and around the world. You can follow us on our YouTube channel at First Next News for full news reports. Hello everyone, a very pleasant day to you. Here are the top stories. These are: Federal government suspends 4% free on-board levy charged by customs. Ex-CBN Governor Emefiele defeats EFCC in court, gets approval to hire forensic experts. On the foreign scene, Trump says he will sue New York Times for $15 billion. A very good day to you and welcome to First Next News Port Harcourt. I am Becky Usoro. Now the news in details. Federal government has suspended the newly introduced free on-board levy collected by the Nigerian Customs Services (NCS) on imported goods with immediate effect. In a memo seen by the Cable R.O. Omachi, Permanent Secretary, Special Duties in the Office of the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, said the suspension follows extensive consultations with industry stakeholders, trade experts, and relevant government officials. The Minister of Finance is also the chairman of the Board of Customs. It has become clear that the implementation of the 4% free on-board charge poses significant challenges to the Nigerian trade facilitation, environment, and economic stability. Many importers and businesses have raised concerns about the increased financial burden this levy imposes, with potential adverse effects on inflation, trade competitiveness, and the overall business climate in Nigeria, he said. Omachi said the suspension will provide an opportunity for comprehensive stakeholder engagement and a thorough review of the levy's framework and its broader economic implications. The Minister of Finance looks forward to working closely with the service and all relevant parties to devise a more equitable and efficient revenue structure that supports both revenue generation and economic growth and stability. You're still listening to News on First News Port Harcourt. Let's go for a short break. When we return, we'll bring to you more details on ex-CBN Governor Emefiele defeats EFCC in court, gets approval to hire forensic experts. On the foreign scene, Trump says he will sue New York Times for $15 billion. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. Many thanks for staying tuned. We now bring you the rest of the news. The Lagos State Special Offences Court in Ikeja has granted Godwin Emefiele, former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN), permission to engage forensic experts to examine WhatsApp conversation and a mobile device tendered as evidence in his fraud trial. Ruling on Monday, Rahman Oshodi, the presiding judge, gave the order after Emefiele's counsel, Olalekun Ojo-San, applied for leave to allow an independent forensic expert to inspect the handset marked iPhone 2 and verify authenticity of the extracted WhatsApp messages already admitted as exhibits. The defense seek the court's leave to call a forensic expert to examine both the mobile device and printed conversations allegedly linked to the defendants, Ojo told the court. Emefiele is standing trial alongside his co-defendant, Henry Omole, on 19 counts bordering on abuse of office, receiving gratification, corruption, and fraudulent property transaction involving $4.5 billion and 2.8 billion naira. The charges were filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. However, Chinaye Okeze, counsel of the EFCC, opposed the application, arguing that exhibits admitted during trial should remain in the court's custody until proceeding and concluded. She faulted the defense for failing to disclose the name of the forensic laboratory or the qualifications of the personnel expected to handle the device. Okeze urged the court to mandate that the EFCC's director of the Forensic Department select the laboratory, ensure the exercise is monitored by a prosecution-nominated representative, and preserve the chain of custody. Delivering his ruling, Oshodi held that the defense was entitled to an independent forensic review, provided safeguards were in a place to protect the integrity of the evidence. He ordered that the inspection be conducted in the presence of representatives from all parties, with each side allowed to bring one lawyer and one forensic expert. A court representative will supervise the exercise, which must take place between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. on September 24 and 26, 2025. The judge directed that the chain of custody of Exhibit E, iPhone 2, must be preserved and that the device remain in the court's custody at all times. The trial was adjourned to October 7 and 8 for continuation and October 9 for further hearing. We now move on to the foreign news. President Donald Trump announced on Monday he will file a $15 billion lawsuit against the New York Times, alleging defamation and libel, and accusing the outlet of being a virtual mouthpiece for the Democrat Party. Trump had threatened last week to sue the Times after it published articles related to a sexually suggestive note enjoying that was given to disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday in 2003 and appears to have been signed by Trump. Trump and his aides have denied that he was involved in the creation of the note. In a post overnight on the social media platform Truth Social, the president accused the Times of making false statements about him, his family, and his businesses, though he did not elaborate on the allegations. Today, I have the great honor of bringing a $15 billion defamation and libel suit against the New York Times, Trump wrote. The New York Times have been allowed to freely lie, smear, and defame me for far too long, and that stops now, he added. While singling out the Times' endorsement of Kamala Harris during the last presidential election in 2024. The lawsuit is the latest in a series of high-profile legal challenges mounted by Trump against major media outlets to what he described as efforts to restore integrity to journalism. The lawsuit will be filed in Florida, Trump said, without providing further details. That's all on the news this hour. We now bring you highlights of the top stories so far. Federal government suspends 4% free on board levy charge by customs. Brought to you that ex-CBN Governor Emefiele defends EFCC in court, gets approval to hire forensic experts. On the foreign scene, brought to you that Trump says he will sue New York Times for $15 billion. For more stories and updates on political trends, you can follow us and kindly subscribe on our YouTube channel at First Next News. Do remember, democracy is the only system that persists in asking the powers that be whether they are the powers that ought to be. I am Becky Osoro. Many thanks for watching. Bye for now. In case you missed out on the major local and international news updates within the week, worry no more because we've got you covered. Join us on First Next News for a complete highlight of important stories from Nigeria and around the world. You can follow us on our YouTube channel at First Next News for full news reports.